guest with you who really does amazing work with women and helping them understand sexuality better. She is Amanda Louder, and she's a certified life coach who helps women from conservative Christian backgrounds love their sex life. She helps women embrace their sexuality to help them strengthen their relationship with themselves, their spouse, and God. In addition to being a coach, Amanda is also a wife to Kevin and mom and stepmom to 5 kids ranging in ages from 12 to 21. In her spare time, she enjoys reading, watching her kids play sports, fishing, and camping. Welcome, Amanda. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me, Monica.
Oh, it is my pleasure. And that was like your fancy intro, but what would you really like Summit viewers to know about you?
I love my job so much. It's kind of funny. I love helping women and marriage in this way. I love sex and I love helping women find joy, fulfillment, and pleasure in it. I often help women have their first orgasms, and I get just as excited about their orgasms as I do my own. It's like other people's orgasms make me very happy.
Well, I think just having women discover joy in that way is just like such a breath of fresh air. I'm so grateful that you're so good at this and that I can refer people to you. I'm so happy that you do this. So let's dig in. For the time we have together, I want to discuss how to stay more present and connected during sex, because like as women specifically, we tend to get really distracted. It's hard to get our mind on the task at hand, much less to enjoy what's happening. So
Right.
let's like start with that.
So as women, I think we just have so much on our plates. We are constantly, we have work and the house and the kids and our husband, and everybody's kind of pulling at our time. And so sex often just becomes like another thing on our to-do list and something to check off to be the good wife, instead of really staying present, staying present and not distracted by everything else that we have going on. And so it makes a lot of sense, because I think, especially as women, we are taught that a lot of times our value comes from what we accomplish. Does our house look perfect? Or our children dressed to the nines, like that Instagram perfect? And so we're working so hard to make all of that happen, and we don't know how to turn it off. So when it comes time to be in the bedroom with our husbands, there's still so much going on in our heads. And instead of just, enjoying what's running right in front of us, we're thinking like, oh, I got to do the dishes and I got to get arranged carpool for this kid, and I've got to make lunches for tomorrow, and the ceiling fan needs dusted, and these walls need painted, and like it just all runs together.
Yeah. So what does that create for us when we're kind of distracted? We can't turn it off. There's so many things going on in our mind. What does that look like?
It just really creates a disconnect between ourselves and our partner. It creates a disconnect between ourselves and our bodies. A lot of times we have a hard time, either getting into arousal, getting into the mood, and so then staying in the mood all the way through orgasm when we're just so disconnected and our body and our minds are going in 2 different directions.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure anyone watching can attest to experiencing that
Yes.
kind of sexual experience where you're just not really there. So I want to turn that around. How can we stay more present and connected? And then what does that look like?
Yeah. So I love teaching women some really basic mindfulness techniques that they can do before sex to help prepare their mind and get it in the right place. They can also do them during sex so that they can stay more connected and present. So there's 3 exercises that I teach women how to do. The first is a breath exercise, and it's called square breathing. So we breathe in for 4, we hold for 4, we breathe out for 4, and then we hold that for 4. And just by doing this, it helps calm the nervous system. It helps bring us back into our bodies and really focusing on that breath. That by itself is really, really powerful. Just taking that few seconds even, and you can do this multiple times if you want to, but really taking those few seconds to just calm yourself down, get over the anxiety of everything that's happening, and just get back into the present moment. If you're trying to focus on your breathing, you really can't be focusing on other things. You really have to stay right there. The second thing is a five senses exercise. And again, you can do this beforehand or during. So you go through your five senses. This gets you out of your head and into your body, really paying attention. Now, again, I'm not talking about like looking at, okay, I'm looking at what's right in front of me. I'm using my sight and I'm seeing that the ceiling fan needs dusted. That's not what we want to look for. We want to look for, look into our partner's eyes, look at their body, look at what's happening for them, right? Really paying attention to the connection between the two of you with those five senses: sight, smell, taste, hearing, and touch. And if you can really hone in on those things, it really brings you out of your head and back into your body. The third exercise is to do Kegel exercises. When you do Kegels, all of your energy is focused into your vulva and your vagina, which is exactly where you need it to be during sex. So, and when you're doing those, you really can't be thinking about anything else either. Just focusing on that. And that's where the energy goes. And that can keep you back into your body and out of your head. So that's really the key, is really focusing on what's going on in your body rather than what's going on in your mind. And what does that look like? It means you stay more present in the moment. You're focusing on what's happening in your body. You experience more pleasure because you're connected to your body. We also have more love and connection with our spouse when we are focused on truly expressing our love and passion for them and receiving their love and passion for us.
Oh, that is so good. And I want to like rewind for a second because I think those are all really good tips. But just in case somebody's watching, a woman is watching and going, I mean, yeah, I can do all those things to make sex more pleasurable for my partner. But I think one thing you're really good at is explaining how sex can actually be for us as women. Will you talk
Yes.
about that for just a second? Just like, why is it so important to understand that a sexual experience is also for us?
Well, our bodies were created for pleasure. We have an entire organ that's only purpose, the clitoris, is for pleasure. So if we're not using our bodies for what it was created for, we're missing out on a very crucial and important part of this life. I mean, we were, came to earth to experience what it was like to be in a body and to experience everything that our body has to offer. If we're missing out on that, we're missing a crucial piece. Sex is so much more than just for the man. A lot of times as women, we're taught to be desirous, but not necessarily to desire, to kind of squash what we want in sacrifice for what everybody else wants. But there's ways to do both. Of course, we want to make sure that we're fulfilling the needs of those around us, but we need to make sure that our needs are being fulfilled as well. So one of the key pieces that I hear from a lot of women is they feel like sex takes too long. And this is also distracting for them during sex because they're like, this is taking too long. My husband is getting bored, his hand or mouth or something's getting tired. And so they just disconnect. And when we understand that, yes, our body is not like a man's. We're not going to orgasm most likely in 5 to 8 minutes like he does. It's going to take a lot longer. But switching this around where we are so good at nurturing everyone else, can sex be the time that we get nurtured? The sex where we can just sit back and relax and receive instead of constantly giving. I think it was designed that way for a purpose. I think it's really the time that we just get to sit back and go, this is all about me right now. This is about receiving. And I promise you, your husband is happy to spend as much time as needed to make sure that you have a good experience too. It's all in your head of him not wanting to. So if you can kind of let that go and go, this is my time to relax and be nurtured instead of nurturing, it's going to be a completely different experience.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea how much I absolutely loved that answer, and like so beautifully put. And I think too, as women, we forget that we need to fill up our own cups and
Yes.
how powerful our intimate sexual relationship with our spouse can be in that refilling and recharging and refueling of ourselves.
Yes. And I think, so many women, especially if they have young children, they just feel touched out, right? And if we can look at it a little bit differently, rather than like, this is something I have to give and there's not enough of me to give, which is a very scarcity mindset, and more of an abundance. Like, yes, I'm going to give, but I'm also going to receive. And I need to be a good receiver of that. This is the way that I can be touched in a way that gives back to me rather than taking from me. It just changes things.
Oh, so good, Amanda. Okay. I'm loving this. I want to get a little bit personal with you for just a second, and
Okay.
imagine you wake up one day and you realize you've allowed life and kids and business and all the things to take precedence over your spouse. And you're thinking like, I'm in a rut, feeling disconnected. What would you personally do then to rebuild your relationship, reignite the spark, and bring the fun back into your marriage?
So I'm a big fan of repair. I think that's a really, really important piece that a lot of marriages and relationships are missing. That when we see something has gone wrong, we need to go back in and say, hey, I have not been doing this very well, and I am so sorry, and I want to try and do better. I have used this tool so many times in my marriage, but also in my relationship with my kids. Like, I'm not a perfect parent, I'm not a perfect spouse, and that repair tool is so, so important in helping move things forward. And then, of course, I just think it all comes down to the way that you think about your life and how you if in order for these things to happen, in order to really have great intimate relationships with those that we love, we have to be very intentional. Otherwise, we just get sidetracked. And so it's really about mindset. How do I want to be thinking about my husband and my children and these relationships that I can be more intentional in showing up the way that I want to? It all comes down to being intentional and that mindset piece behind it. So I would probably like, how can I be more intentional? I love to go on vacations with my husband and really have that time away where it's just the two of us and we can spend time talking and, just connecting with each other, both physically, emotionally, sexually, just all the pieces as a way to kind of propel things forward. I think it's really important for couples to do this on a really regular basis. So my rule that I always tell my clients is the 2-2-2 rule. At least a date every 2 weeks. A night away every 2 months, and a big like week-long vacation, just the two of you, at least every 2 years. And if you can do that 2-2-2, then you will be in much better shape going forward. So my husband and I, because our kids were blended and our kids go and spend time at their other parents' house lots on the weekend, we get a lot of weekends, just the two of us. And we almost always go away somewhere, just the two of us, usually camping and fishing, in our trailer and with our boat, but it's where we spend our time together. And we're so secluded. There's nobody else there. And it just gives really reconnecting when we can sit and talk and spend that time together. So that's what I always recommend.
Oh, so good. And I love the way you describe that 2-2-2, because it can look different for every couple. I mean,
Yeah,
you can create that any way you want, but I
absolutely.
love that it's like the cord that holds you together. So like, it's hard to get too disconnected when you have that, oh, okay, it's been 2 weeks. We got to, do this. And you have like a connection point that's already kind of set there as
Absolutely.
like a bumper. I love it.
Absolutely. And, we're on all different stages of life. And, sometimes when we've got little kids, it's a little harder. But if you can, I mean, even if it's just like something local and get away for a night, if trade with another couple or grandma or cousins or something, just to get that time away, it's so, so important.
There is so much magic in that. I agree. Okay, tell the viewers where they can find you, learn more about your courses, and just all the great things that you teach.
Yeah, so you can go to my website, amandalauder.com, and there I have all about my coaching program. I have 2 different courses, one for women, one for engaged couples. So all of that's there. You can follow me on social media, both Instagram and Facebook at Amanda Lauder Coaching. And of course, my podcast, which is called Sex for Saints.
Love it. Thank you so, so much.
To learn more ways to deepen your intimacy and strengthen your relationship, make sure you watch this video next.